Anacin, the tablets thousands of physicians and dentists recommend for fast relief of pain of headache, neuritis, neuralgia, and heat. The liniment that's strong yet does not burn. Present Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks Transcribed. But first, if you suffer from the pains of a headache, we urge you to try the remarkable product this program features, Anacin. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients. The relief these tablets bring is not only effective, but often incredibly fast. Many of you I know first discovered Anacin through your own dentist or physician. But if you have not yet used Anacin, we urge you to try these tablets the next time you are in pain from a headache, neuritis, or neuralgia. You'll be delighted with the results. Try Anacin on this guarantee. If the first few tablets do not give you all the relief you want, as fast as you want it, return the unused portion and your money will be refunded. You can get Anacin at any drug counter. It's Anacin. Easy to take Anacin tablets come in handy boxes of 12 and 30 and economical family-size bottles of 50 and 100. Although it was a difficult decision to make, our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, finally made it. So, after 6 years of practically going steady with Philip Boynton, last week she finally gave the green light to other men.
Yes, last week I gave them the green light. And since then, they've acted as though my street is under repairs. However, I did meet a salesman named Freddie Stewart. And when a girl has spent 6 years being taken to a hot dog stand for dinner, a movie, and then a soda fountain afterward, anything would seem like a change. So Wednesday night I went out with Freddie, and the evening seemed most enjoyable. The hot dogs were delicious, the movie great, and the double malteds were out of this world. But of far greater interest than my latest acquaintance was my landlady's new heartthrob. For the past 2 weeks, Mrs. Davis had been trying to conceal her little romance, and I had been trying to conceal my curiosity. By breakfast time Thursday, I could no longer bear the suspense. But before I could ask her about it, Mrs. Davis posed a question of her own.
I suppose you've been wondering where I've been spending my evenings in the last few weeks.
The question did cross my mind.
Well, dear, I've been going with the most wonderful man. Oh, Connie, he's so worldly, so suave, so debonair, so romantic.
Who is he, Mrs. Davis?
Henry, our butcher.
Our butcher?
Yes, that's the man who's been dating me. And I have further news for you. Now hold on to your seat, dear. I'm even thinking of marrying him.
Well, that's one way of being sure of the choice cuts. Mrs. Davis, you're not serious.
Oh, but I am, Connie. Henry Pringle seems just right for me in every way.
But this seems incredible. Who is he? What do you know about him? Where did you meet him?
I met him over the phone about 3 weeks ago.
You met him over the phone?
That's right. I was calling in my order to Schmidt's butcher shop, the way I generally do, and Henry answered it.
How did you finally meet him in person, though, Mrs. Davis?
Well, 4 days after that first call, Henry appeared at our house in the afternoon with a large box tied with a wide red ribbon.
He brought you some flowers.
No, dear, our pot roast for that night.
Mrs. Davis, you know I want you to be happy more than anything else in the world, but you've gone with Henry such a short time. After all, what do you really know about him? What has he told you about himself?
Well, dear, he's a bachelor, been in town a month, and he's Mr. Schmidt's partner.
But do any of your friends know it? And why hasn't he ever come over to the house to meet me?
Well, I suggested it, dear, but Henry is very bashful. However, he was going to meet you up to the time I told him you taught English at Madison High. That's when he backed out.
I won't hold that against him. That's when most men back out.
Anyway, dear, you'll meet him tonight. I invited him to dinner, and I told him I'd give him his answer then.
Mrs. Davis, not so soon. Oh, that must be Walter to drive me to school. Be out in a minute, Walter. Look, Mrs. Davis, I have to leave now, but please think this over for at least another week. Wait until you know a little more about Henry.
Brooks, you haven't said a word since you got in the car. It isn't my driving that's bothering you, is it?
No, Walter, I'm worried about something else today.
I wouldn't worry about that, Miss Brooks. What can you expect when last night was the first date you had with him?
What? Walter, how did you know I had a date last night?
Well, Harriet and I saw you in the balcony of the Bijou. We were sitting toward the rear and you were forward.
No more than I am with Mr. Boynton. What do you mean we were sitting toward the front? Well, I'm not thinking about myself, Walter. This concerns someone else.
Well, you're certainly not worried about Mrs. Davis's romance, are you?
Then you know about that, too. How did you find out about that?
I was also up in the balcony with Harriet the night before.
You went to the same movie with Harriet 2 nights in a row?
Yeah, and tonight I'm going back alone and see the picture.
But the other night you saw Mrs. Davis up there with someone.
Boy, was she with someone, Miss Brooks. Ooh, la la.
Walter, I can't say I care for that ooh, and even less for those la-las.
Oh, I didn't mean any disrespect, Miss Brooks. But Mrs. Davis and this old fella certainly did seem to be enjoying each other's company. Yeah, honestly, Harriet and I thought we'd pop the way they were popping popcorn into each other's mouth.
Well, that's exactly what's worrying me. She's thinking seriously of popping popcorn into her friend's mouth for the rest of her life.
Well, you mean marrying the guy? But that's wonderful, Miss Brooks.
Wonderful?
Certainly. What could be more romantic than 2 lonely old people in the autumn of their lives who find the warm glow of companionship and thus walk hand in hand into the setting sun together?
Followed by 2 men from a collection agency and the sheriff. Walter, Mrs. Davis has known this man for a little over 2 weeks. What does she really know about him? About his background, his finances?
But Mrs. Davis is a mature woman, Miss Brooks. Surely she ought to know what she's doing.
Not in this case. But since we're practically on the school grounds, Walter, we'd better drop the subject for the time being.
Sure. Oh, say, isn't that Harriet and old Marblehead, Mr. Conklin, out in front of the school now, Miss Brooks?
Why, so it is. I wonder what our principal's doing outside school.
Well, maybe he figures that gives him more room to pounce on us.
I hardly think so, but apparently there's something terribly wrong today.
Why, Miss Brooks?
He's smiling.
Yeah! I wonder who he expelled.
Well, it seems we're all arriving about the same time this morning. Good morning, Miss Brooks.
Good morning, sir. Morning, Harriet.
Good morning, Miss Brooks.
And how are you this morning, Denton?
Oh, fine, sir. Simply fine. Never felt better in my life. Absolutely in the pink. All primed and raring to go. Never better, sir. Not in my entire life. No, sirree.
I never will learn, will I?
Well, I better get rid of this car. Want to drive to the back lot with me, Harriet?
Oh, I'd like to, Walter, but you know how Daddy feels about the 2 of us going...
Go right ahead, my dear.
Now, really, Mr. Conklin, I must protest against the constant injustice of never permitting your daughter to accompany me on so simple a journey as to go to the... did you say go right ahead?
Now take that souped-up flying saucer out of here before I change my mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hop in, Harriet.
Okay. Thanks, Daddy.
I don't know what it is, but that boy always leaves me boiling. I can't remember when I've been in such a good humor.
I can't either. But you certainly did seem in a fine humor this morning, sir.
And, well, I might be, too. We had some very good news at our house last night. It concerns my wife's sister, Mildred. You've heard me mention her. The single one who comes to our house and stays for months at a time.
You mean she's finally getting married?
No, that's just it. She's not.
But how is that good news, sir?
Well, we were suspicious of the fellow right from the beginning. From everything Mildred told us about him, he only seemed to be interested in her for her money.
He did?
So I began to do a little private investigating and found the fellow had once been a confidence man and had landed in jail twice. Mildred wouldn't believe me, but Luckily, when I phoned him and confronted him with the evidence, he told me to stop worrying, that he'd found a new sucker anyway.
Mr. Conklin, hadn't you ever met this man before?
No, that was one of the things that first aroused my suspicions. He never would come over to the house to meet us.
I think I'm beginning to feel a little faint. How did you know where to call, then?
Well, that was easy. I knew his name and how Mildred had met him, so I simply called Schmidt's butcher shop where he works.
Mr. Conklin, will you excuse me for a few moments?
Why, what are you going to do, Miss Brooks?
First, I'm going to make a quick phone call, and then I'm going to become a vegetarian.
Friends, when agonizing pain of rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache makes you miserable, and every move is a torment, that's the time to reach for Heat. H-E-E-T. Heat, the liniment that's strong yet does not burn. The moment you apply it, you can feel Heat's soothing warmth working to relieve your painful miseries. That's because Heat penetrates deep, brings immediate relief to sore, aching muscles. Wherever you ache, just brush on Heat. Heat penetrates deep, keeps working for hours to bring wonderful, soothing comfort to the painful, aching area. Your pain seems to disappear. Heat isn't oily, sticky, or messy. You just brush on Heat with a handy applicator that comes with each bottle, and it dries in seconds. So remember, when pain of rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache makes you miserable, Heat's penetrating warmth gives you fast, long-lasting relief. Get Heat, H-E-E-T. Heat, the liniment that penetrates deep to bring immediate relief.
Well, I'd heard of older people arriving at the age of indiscretion before. However, not only did my landlady arrive, but I think she intends to spend the rest of her life there. When I finally reached her on the phone just before noon, the results of our conversation practically floored me. She refused to believe a word of what Mr. Conklin had said about Henry. Naturally, I had to discuss my problem with someone, so over our lunch table in the cafeteria a little while later, Mr. Boynton was elected. His quick, incisive mind instantly grasped the problem, and his first crystal-clear statement went right to the heart of it.
Boy, I'd sure hate to be in Mrs. Davis's place.
Oh, you'd be much too tall for Henry anyway. Yes, it is quite a mess, isn't it? Particularly since Mrs. Davis is giving Henry her decision to marry him tonight.
Well, now, let me get this straight, Miss Brooks. You say you called Mrs. Davis and gave her the information Mr. Conklin gave you?
Yes, I told her Mr. Conklin said that Henry was a confidence man, had been in jail twice, and had told him he didn't care about Conklin's sister-in-law anymore because he'd found another sucker.
And exactly what was Mrs. Davis's reaction?
She asked me what else was new.
Well, it seems incredible. Was that all she said?
Well, not entirely.
Oh, I didn't think so.
She also said to be sure to pick up a can of vegetable soup on the way home this afternoon.
Miss Brooks, didn't you ask her why she wasn't concerned with what you told her?
Of course I did. And Mrs. Davis claimed that Mr. Conklin was spreading the story because he was angry that Henry hadn't married Mildred.
Oh, then she knew about the episode?
Yes, it seems that Henry had already covered himself on that score. He told her that she might hear some wild stories about him because he'd been seeing Mildred, and when he met Mrs. Davis, he gave her up.
Gosh, then what'll happen to Mrs. Davis? Will she learn the real truth in time?
Listen again tomorrow to another thrilling episode of Margaret Face's Life. But I'm really worried, Mr. Boynton. There must be some way to bring her to her senses.
I wish I could help. Sometimes when I'm faced with a vexing problem, I find a solution by observing how my frogs and rabbits react under similar circumstances.
It won't work here. Very few frogs and rabbits consider marrying confidence men.
That isn't quite what I had.
If there were only some way to convince her that people don't marry so hastily, at least until they've looked into the other person's background. If anyone else were doing the same thing, I know Mrs. Davis would condemn it.
Miss Brooks, wait. I think you've got something.
Well, after all these years, it's about time you did. Oh, you mean I've given you an idea?
I'll say you did. Now tell me, how was your new date last night?
Next time I have a secret, I'll hire a skywriter. Oh, Freddie Stewart is a very nice chap, Mr. Boynton. Very nice.
Well, I'm glad you like him, Miss Brooks, because that's part of my idea.
What is your idea, Mr. Boynton?
That you contemplate marrying him.
What? 6 years I'm going with the same man, and when he finally does propose, it's that I marry somebody else.
No, you don't understand. I don't mean actually contemplate marrying him. I mean just give Mrs. Davis the impression you're going to marry him after only one date. Now, don't you get it, Miss Brooks?
Yes, but I'm not sure I want it.
Well, I feel certain it'll work. When Mrs. Davis thinks that someone she cares about is doing something hastily, she may reconsider her own position. Then you can suggest she test out Henry tonight.
Well, since we haven't any time to lose, at least it's worth a try.
Of course it is.
All right, then. Right after school, I'll dash down to the 5 and 10 cent store.
5 and 10 cent store? What for?
Well, if I'm thinking of getting married, the least thing I'm entitled to is an engagement ring. Entree.
No, it's me, Mrs. Davis.
I know. Come in, Mrs. Davis.
My, you're home early this afternoon, dear. But why are you packing?
I'm not really packing. I'm just throwing a few things into my valise. I'll be back in a few days.
But, Connie, why didn't you tell me you're taking a trip?
Well, this one came up so suddenly and seemed so insignificant it was hardly worth mentioning.
Why not, Connie?
I'm getting married.
Well, Connie, even an insignificant trip like that is worth telling me about since you're going to get married. Connie, when did you decide to do that?
About an hour ago, during a lull in the conversation. We're getting married this evening.
Well, I think it's simply wonderful, dear.
Huh?
It's what we both dreamed about all these years, that someday Mr. Boynton would propose.
Oh, I'm not marrying Mr. Boynton. It's Freddie Stewart.
Freddie Stewart? Freddie Stewart asked you to marry him, and you accepted?
Certainly. I didn't have anything else planned for this weekend, did I?
He asked you an hour ago, and you're getting married tonight?
Yes, Freddie says he doesn't believe in long engagements.
But, Connie, marriage is the most important step of your life. You have a whole lifetime to live together. It takes months to get to know a man properly.
Oh, now, Mrs. Davis. I will admit if you hadn't gotten the idea first, I might not have accepted so readily.
Well, Connie, maybe I was wrong. Maybe we're both being a little hasty. I'll tell you what, dear. If you'll tell Freddie you want a little time to reconsider, I'll put Henry to the acid test tonight.
The acid test? I didn't mean for you to disfigure him for life.
No, what I meant is this. Since you think he's chasing me because I own this house and have a little money, I'll prove to you, dear, that you're wrong.
How?
Well, we'll simply reverse positions. You'll be the owner of this house. And what's more, I'll pretend to be your servant. If Henry still wants to marry me, then that should convince us both of his integrity, shouldn't it? Well, Connie, what do you say?
What am I paying you good money for, Maggie? Get back into the kitchen and start dinner.
Our Miss Brooks will return in a moment. We invite you to listen while you work every weekday to the great family of familiar daytime dramas America listens to most. Every Monday through Friday on most of these same stations, you not only look in on the romance of Helen Trent, but visit Three Oaks, where young Dr. Malone is facing his latest emotional as well as professional problems. You have your exciting day in court with the lawyer detective Perry Mason. You follow the latest doings in Hilltop House and listen for The Guiding Light and CBS Radio's Brighter Day program. And, of course, there's always an unusual experience in store on the second Mrs. Burton. Every Monday through Friday, the Star's Address holds up a mirror to the lives of people you have come to care about through the years of listening. Tomorrow and every weekday, enjoy these fine daytime dramatic programs. Remember, by keeping several sets tuned in, strategically located in different rooms, you can literally listen while you work as you move about your home and do the daily chores. Millions listen every weekday. When you do, you're in excellent company, and plenty of it, at the Star's Address.
Persuaded my landlady to cooperate with me, I felt certain I could prove that her boyfriend was a complete phony. Later that evening, Mrs. Davis entered the living room, dressed for her new role.
Well, Connie, how do I look?
Like the perfect maid, Mrs. Davis. All the way from your white lace cap to your dirty brown sneakers.
This cap here. It's a doily I used on the table at lunch.
And you did a swell job on that dress in such a
Do
hurry.
you like it? I just sewed a little lace on an old black dress I found in the attic. But I'm afraid I cut it a little short. My knees haven't felt this draughty since 1926.
Ah, this must be Henry now. You'd better go inside and give me a few minutes alone with him before you announce dinner.
All right, but you will be nice to him, Connie.
Mrs. Davis, we've been all through that. Now go ahead.
Well, all right, Connie.
Oh, hello. You must be Henry Pringle.
Yes, my dear, Henry Pringle. And you must be Miss Brooks. Oh, I've heard so much about you. Believe me, my dear, there isn't a morning when my little sweetheart phones in a meat order that your name doesn't come up.
I know. I go well with calves' brains. Then won't you come in, Mr. Pringle?
Just Henry.
Well, come in, just Henry. Walk right in.
Thank you, thank you.
Margaret's already told me a good deal about the two of you.
Oh, yes, we're about ready to enter the sacred state of matrimony. Where is my little girl, Miss Brooks? I've brought her a little something.
Oh, how nice. A box of candy. What are they? Caramels? Nougats? Or chocolate-covered creams?
They're meatballs.
How delicious. Chocolate-covered meatballs.
When anyone brings his fiancée candy, Miss Brooks, I've always felt it's more personal to bring one's lady love delicacies from one's own business.
Lucky you're not a bricklayer. Well, it's a pleasure to welcome you here, Henry. I feel as if I almost know you already.
And I feel the same way. Margaret's told me so much about you, how you taught school and everything.
She told you I taught school?
You're not the school teacher?
Oh, gracious, no. That's only for people who have to earn a living. Or as the word scratch for a living. My, that Margaret certainly has a vivid imagination. Next, I suppose, she'll be telling you she owns this house.
She doesn't own this house?
Oh, now, really? Does a servant ever own her mistress's house?
She's your servant?
Henry, am I coming through clearly?
But she never told me anything about that.
Oh, well, let's go into the living room and wait for her. Only please watch those scatter rugs.
I simply can't believe Margaret's your servant.
Ah, here's little Maggie now.
Dinner is served, Mum.
I warned you about those scatter rugs. Here, let me help you out.
No, I'll be all right.
Look what Henry brought you, Maggie. A box of meatballs.
Oh, Henry, you shouldn't have.
You can say that again.
Margaret, is all this true? Are you really Miss Brooks' servant?
Am I permitted to talk to my friend, Mum?
Permission granted. But keep it within 10 words, Maggie. We don't want dinner to get cold, do we?
Well, that's right, Henry, dear. Miss Brooks is my employer.
Well, then all about owning this house, your little nest egg, none of it's true?
Oh, the part about the nest egg is true.
Oh, it is?
Yes, indeed. Margaret found it in the tree in back 2 weeks ago. It ought to hatch any day now. Now, I know you both want to get started with your dinner as soon as possible, so go right ahead into the kitchen, Henry, and sit down.
Into the kitchen?
Yes, don't bump your head on the ironing board. That way, the sooner Maggie can serve me my dinner, the sooner you can get at the leftovers. Well, let's have no more talk now. Right, Maggie?
Mum's the word, Mum. Coming, Henry?
Just a moment, Margaret. I'm not very hungry. Frankly, I never expected all this.
Well, I'm sorry if I exaggerated a little, dear.
A little? This isn't your house? No nest egg? You're Miss Brooks' servant?
But it really doesn't make any difference, does it? As long as we have each other.
Yes, well, frankly,
Oh, it doesn't make any difference, does it, Henry? You said last night, regardless of what, love would find a way.
And right now, it's looking awfully hard.
Well, Margaret, to be perfectly honest,
Ay. I'll take it. Walter, what are are you doing here? You're not due to pick me up for 12 hours yet.
Well, I was passing in my car, so I thought I'd drop off some books I borrowed from you.
Thanks, and bye.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Davis. What are you all dressed up for? Going to a masquerade?
No, Walter, I'm not going to a masquerade.
No masquerade?
No, but you're going to a funeral if you
Well,
don't...
gee, that's a clever costume. If I didn't know you owned this place, I'd swear you were the maid.
Walter, blow.
Have I overstayed my welcome already, Miss Brooks?
On this earth by about 16 years.
Gee, some people sure have their moods. Well, good night, everyone.
Now, Margaret, perhaps you'll tell me the reason for this little game you've been playing.
Well, I'm sorry, Henry, but I wanted to find out if you really love me. If you would love me if I had nothing in the world.
Oh, could you doubt it for a minute, Margaret, little girl? Could you, Margaret, child? Margaret, baby?
Once more, and she won't even be born yet.
I know it now. I was a fool, Henry. Can you forgive me? Please try to find it in your heart to forgive me for ever doubting you.
It'll be difficult.
But he'll make it.
Believe me, Henry, I've learned my lesson. Nothing more will ever come between us.
Except the doorbell. I'll get it.
Good evening, Miss Brooks. Am I on time?
Sir, what are you doing here this time of night? And with a valise?
Ah, Margaret, darling, I see I am in time.
Osgood, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? And who has a better right to be here than your husband? Your very own husband.
My husband?
Certainly. Aren't you going to kiss me, sugar plum?
Well, if she doesn't, I am. It's certainly lucky you got here when you did, Osgood Davis.
Osgood Davis? Margaret, you mean you're really married to this guy?
Oh, Henry, of course I'm not. There's not a word of truth in it. This man is an imposter.
There, I won't argue, but he is your husband.
Henry, you don't believe this, do you?
I don't know what to believe anymore. But I'm certainly not taking any chances.
Attaboy.
Not after being mixed up like this 3 times before.
What? Then you're not a bachelor?
Margaret, girl, I haven't been a bachelor since I ran away from junior high with my French teacher.
He'd said English, I'd have screamed.
So if you'll excuse me, I'm getting out of here.
Oh dear. This is terrible. It's terrible. Then Henry really is the sort of man you told me he was, Connie.
With a number of embellishments I had no idea of.
But Osgood, how did you happen to come over tonight?
Well, when Boynton told me this afternoon of the tragic mistake you were about to make, Margaret, I knew I had to do something to prevent it. Particularly when he said you wouldn't believe a word of what I'd told Miss Brooks.
But how did you think of this husband role, Mr. Conklin?
Well, that was just a shot in the dark, Miss Brooks.
Well, luckily everything worked out all right. And I believe I have an idea how we can prevent this sort of thing from happening again.
How, dear?
From now on, I'll do the ordering by phone.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, transcribed, was produced and directed by Larry Burns. Written by Arthur Oldsberg with the music of Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Conklin was played by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Bob Rockwell, Gloria McMillan, and Will Wright. Be sure to be with us next week for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Now, Anacin, the tablets thousands of physicians and dentists recommend for fast relief of pain of headache, neuritis, neuralgia, and Bicidol mints that quickly rid stomach of gastric distress. Present Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks Transcribed. But first, may I make a suggestion that you will probably thank me for someday? It is simply this. The next time you suffer from headache, neuritis, or neuralgia pain, try Anacin. The reason we suggest this is because we feel sure you will be surprised at how incredibly fast Anacin gives you relief. Thousands of people who have tried Anacin say its action is truly astonishing. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Thus, in taking Anacin, you are following sound principles. The next time you suffer pain from headache, neuritis, or neuralgia, don't wait for relief. Try Anacin. On this guarantee, if the first few Anacin tablets do not give you all the relief you want, as fast as you want it, return the unused portion and your money will be refunded. You can get Anacin in any drug counter in handy boxes of 12 and 30 tablets and economical family-size bottles of 50 and 100. I'll spell the name for you, Anacin. Well, there are many reasons why our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, and her landlady, Mrs. Davis, get along so well. Having lived together for many years, they've developed a system of cooperation that begins the first thing in the morning.
Yes, we do everything on schedule. At 7 o'clock sharp, the alarm goes off in Mrs. Davis's room. She gets up, brushes her teeth, and promptly at 7:10 comes into my room and wakes me up. I hop out and brush my teeth, and then at 7:20, I walk into Mrs. Davis's room and wake her up once more. Then she combs her hair, slips on a house dress, and by 7:30, she's all ready to dash in and get me out of bed again. But by 7:40 or so, when we sit down to breakfast, we're both as chipper as two larks, eager, bright-eyed, and ready to face the new day. Take last Friday morning, for instance, when Mrs. Davis set my plate before me. Her first words were,
Connie. Oh, Connie, wake up and eat your eggs.
Huh? Oh, I'm wide awake, Mrs. Davis.
Good. Then get your chin out of your tomato juice and eat.
I'm pretty hungry now that I'm up. This juice is good. Feels nice and cool on my chin. Now I'll just do a job on these scrambled eggs. They seem a little different today. Oh, where did you get these eggs, Mrs. Davis?
Now, Connie, you're just not used to powdered eggs.
Powdered eggs?
The grocer assured me that we'd never be able to tell them from the genuine article.
He's right. They taste just like real powder. Well, I'll settle for toast and coffee. Pass the butter, please, Mrs. Davis.
Certainly, dear. But it's margarine.
Margarine?
Yes, it's quite a bit cheaper than butter.
Oh, I see.
Here, care for a part of the paper, dear?
No, I'll just eat a big lunch. Oh, you mean to read? Yes, thanks.
I know the breakfast isn't what it should be today, Connie, but frankly, it was my way of hinting that it's difficult to make ends meet.
I know, Mrs. Davis. I owe you 8 weeks back rent now.
It'll be 9 tomorrow. I don't like to dun you, dear, but I've got to raise $50 by next week or lose all my living room furniture.
But you own that furniture outright, Mrs. Davis. You made the last payment 2 months ago, don't you remember?
Certainly, dear. But then last month I had to have the roof repaired.
So?
So I borrowed on the living room furniture.
This is getting pretty involved, but since it's my fault that you don't have the money, I'll try to get it for you someplace. Maybe Mr. Conklin will advance it to me.
Well, that's very considerate, dear. Things could be worse, I suppose. Look at this story in the newspaper, the third robbery in this vicinity in a week. Last night in the next block, a house was robbed by cat burglars.
Cat burglars? Who did they rob?
Mr. and Mrs. Katz. My goodness, some people have all the luck.
Luck?
Why couldn't they have broken into this house while we were out? I could have collected enough insurance to pay what I borrowed on the furniture and get some new stuff besides.
Well, that's no way for you to think, Mrs. Davis. After all, that must be Walter Denton to drive me to school.
Oh, dear. Do you suppose he's got a big appetite this morning?
That's like asking if John L. Lewis has eyebrows. Come on in, Walter.
I'll set a place for him.
Top of the morning, gracious ladies.
And the rest of the day to yourself, Barry Fitzgerald. We haven't much to offer today in the way of breakfast, Walter,
Well,
but...
what's wrong with the stuff on this platter? I'll just help myself to a plateful if I may.
Certainly you may, dear. Here's a knife and fork.
Oh, this is delicious.
You like it?
Oh, sure I like it. Oh, this is one of my favorite dishes.
You know what it is?
Well, I ought to know what it is. I've been eating it since I was 4 years old.
You have?
Well, sure. No, I don't want to sound like a connoisseur or anything, but these are absolutely the best hominy grits I ever had.
Hominy grits?
Yes, doesn't Mrs. Davis prepare them wonderfully, Walter?
If you'll excuse me a moment, I'd better clean up the kitchen.
I thought you had. I mean... I'll see you later, Mrs. Davis.
Yeah, see you later, Mrs. Davis. Well, now that we're alone, Miss Brooks, I'd like to ask a favor of you. It's in connection with Harriet Conklin.
What about Harriet Conklin?
She's broken 3 dates with me this week, and she won't tell me why. Now, Miss Brooks, you're a woman. Warm, attractive, desirable.
Have some more hominy grits. I mean, go on, Walter.
Well, being the kind of person you are, you can ascertain better than I how another such person would act toward a person like myself if a third person entered such a person's life.
From the adage, one man's meat is another man's person. Look, Walter, I've got to see Mr. Conklin this morning about getting an advance. So if Harriet's around his office, I'll try to find out whether or not there's a new romantic interest in her life.
Wonderful, Miss Brooks. How do you propose to accomplish this?
In a very devious, feminine, and mysterious fashion, Walter.
How?
I'll ask her.
But, Daddy, just because you and Mother are going to be away until tomorrow doesn't mean someone has to stay over with me. Well, I think it's ridiculous.
Silence, Harriet. After the years we've been married to one another, your mother and I ought to be better judges of what is ridiculous. What I mean is we have better judgment in these matters.
But just because of a few silly holdups in the other end of town, well, honestly, I was too ashamed to even tell Walter Denton why I couldn't go out with him all this past week.
Ashamed? With gangs of hoodlums roaming the streets? I want your mother's mind to be at ease about you tonight. She's worried enough about that emergency call from your grandmother as it is.
Oh, there's nothing really wrong with Granny. She's just lonesome. And, Daddy, you must look at my side of this. Why, here I am, a 16-year-old girl, and you want to get me a babysitter. Why, if any of the kids at school find out about this, they'll laugh me right out of Madison.
Well, don't worry about that. I'll giggle you right back in. Now then, it's just a question of whom to persuade to stay over with you. I'd like someone dependable and reliable, someone who could think fast in an emergency. Who is it?
It's Miss Brooks, sir.
I may have to settle for less. One moment, Miss Brooks. Now then, Harriet, to avoid any unnecessary discussion, you will kindly leave through my inner office.
But, Daddy, won't...
March, Moppet! Come in, Miss Brooks.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin. I know you're busy, so I'll come right to the point. I have a favor to ask.
Now, isn't that a coincidence? I, too, have a favor to ask. Well, you know what I always say, one hand washes the other.
Yes, I know, but the last time you said it, my hand didn't even get into the basin. What I wanted to ask you, sir, was
Later, Miss Brooks. Mine is by far the more pressing business at the moment. No doubt you heard of the recent robberies round town?
Yes, I have, Mr. Conklin. I don't like to sound redundant, but just last night, cat burglars robbed the Katzes.
Yeah. Disgraceful. Nobody knows where they'll strike next. Now, it so happens that my wife and I have to be out of town tonight, and we want someone to remain in our home with Harriet.
Well, I'd like to help you out, sir, but tonight is Friday.
Oh, thank you for a most illuminating prognostication.
What I mean is I have a previous engagement, sir, with Mr. Boynton.
For the sake of your principal's peace of mind, Miss Brooks, a mere social engagement can easily be broken.
But, Mr. Conklin, he'd be very disappointed and... Oh, wait a minute, I've got an idea. Maybe Mr. Boynton could spend the evening with me over at your house.
At my house?
Well, I'm only suggesting it in case of an emergency, Mr. Conklin. I was thinking of Mr. Boynton's good right arm.
Since when have you become partial? No, Miss Brooks, I'm afraid you won't have any time for Mr. Boynton. It just happens I have a long report to the board, which I expect you to type out for me in triplicate.
A report?
Yes, and I'll need it as soon as I return. So you see, Miss Brooks, Mr. Boynton would just be in the way.
But, sir,
Miss Brooks, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your coming in here and volunteering for this assignment.
Think nothing of it, Mr. Conklin. I don't. What about my favor? Remember, one hand washes the other?
Oh, we must get around to your favor by all means. Please be sure to remind me of it next week.
Mr. Conklin.
I said next week, Miss Brooks. Now, I'm quite busy, so that will be all.
Miss!
Yes, sir. Here we go again, me and my unwashed hands. Well, of all the nerve. Forcing me to break a date because he has to leave town.
Oh, Miss Brooks, I've been waiting until you got out of Daddy's office to talk to you.
Well, if it isn't my little roommate. What's up, Harriet?
I knew Daddy would hook you into staying over at our house tonight, but you've got to promise me you won't breathe a word of it to a soul. Oh, golly, if anyone heard I needed a babysitter, why, I'd die of shame.
But what'll I tell Mr. Boynton when I break my date with him?
Why, just tell him it's a secret. Please, Miss Brooks, it's vital.
All right, Harriet, I won't say a word about it.
Will you take an oath on that?
In blood, Harriet. And I know whose blood I'd like to use.
Friends, if you suffer from acid indigestion, I hope you didn't miss reading this wonderful news. A headline that says, New mints, medically proven, quickly rid stomach of gastric distress. That headline is talking about new Bicidol mints. Doctors recommend Bicidol mints because the Bicidol medication acts at once to make painful acid harmless and give you fast 5-way relief. 1. Speeds relief from gas. 2. Sweetens your breath. 3. Gives complete, longer-lasting relief than baking soda. 4. Relieves stomach upset from too much eating, drinking, smoking. 5. Lets you sleep when acid indigestion strikes at night. So don't suffer acid indigestion, heartburn, or gastric distress from excess acidity. Remember, new mints, medically proven, quickly rid stomach of gastric distress. And remember the name, Bicidol mints. Bisodol. Get Bicidol mints for fast relief.
Well, it was bad enough having to look forward to a night at Mr. Conklin's typing reports. But I faced my most unpleasant task at lunchtime. That's when I had to break my date with a man I hoped would someday make me the proud babysitter for my own babies. It was doubly difficult, since I'd promised Harriet I wouldn't mention the real reason. So when Mr. Boynton sat down at our usual table in the cafeteria, I decided to sneak up on the subject in a subtle manner. Mr. Boynton?
Yes, Miss Brooks?
I can't keep our appointment tonight.
You can't keep it. May I ask why not?
Of course you may ask.
Well, I'm asking.
Well, I'm not telling. You see, I promised the person I am going to be with that I'd keep it a secret.
Oh, so it's that way.
That way? What is that way?
Oh, come now, Miss Brooks. You know, and I know that you know exactly what way that way is.
Oh, you do? Well, what would you say if I were to tell you that you may think you know that I know exactly what way that way is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I do know what way that way is that you're talking about? If any members of my English class are listening, please don't.
Dissembling will get you nowhere, Miss Brooks.
All right. Then I'll try assembling. I didn't want to break this date, Mr. Boynton, but I honestly didn't think it would matter so much to you.
No, it doesn't. Doesn't matter in the least. Not in the least.
Good.
If you found some other man you'd rather go out with, go right ahead.
Well, that's very... Some other man?
You probably met someone who's taller, more handsome, and with a better personality than I have. If so, good luck to you.
If so, who needs it? is, you don't understand, Mr. Boynton.
Don't try to spare my feelings. I don't blame you for preferring to drive around in a Cadillac instead of my old Heap.
A Cadillac?
After all, why should a girl waste her time on a poor school teacher when she can enjoy the comfort and luxuries a wealthy playboy has to offer?
Well, that clears up where the Cadillac came from. But, Mr. Boynton, as far as tonight's concerned...
I said it was all right, Miss Brooks. I couldn't expect you to pass up cocktails and dinner and dancing in some swanky restaurant to go out with me.
Well, I'm sorry you're disappointed about tonight, Mr. Boynton.
Well, you'd be disappointed, too, if you had to go to a boring ladies' bazaar because somebody broke a date with you.
Ladies' bazaar?
No, in a weak moment, I promised my landlady that I'd attend if anything unforeseen happened to my engagement this evening. Well, it just happened.
Well, cheer up, Mr. Boynton. The bazaar may not be so bad.
Not so bad. I'll have to work in one of those booths.
Doing what?
Selling kisses, that's what.
Yipe.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get myself some milk and wash this all down.
Get two, will you? I might as well be loaded as the way I am.
I'll bring it back to the table.
Here's the dime for mine, Mr. Boynton.
Well, that's all right. I'll lay it out. All the times to get a stand-up.
Oh, Mr. Boynton, will you come over a moment?
Oh, Mr. Conklin. Well, this is quite a surprise. As a rule, you don't eat here in the cafeteria.
I thought I'd live dangerously today. Boynton, I noticed you talking with Miss Brooks, and I thought I ought to warn you. If you're entertaining any thoughts of coming over to my house tonight to see her, dismiss them.
To your house, sir?
Yes, Miss Brooks will be much too busy typing a report for me to engage in any social activities.
Oh, so that's where she's going to be tonight.
Didn't she mention it? With all these robberies lately, I asked her to remain overnight with Harriet, since Mrs. Conklin and I will be away.
Well, what do you know about that?
What do I know about what?
She told me she had a date to go out with a wealthy playboy in a big Cadillac. I've got a good mind to teach her a lesson. By Godfrey, I'll do it. I'm going to drink both glasses of milk.
Our Miss Brooks will return in a moment. Say, did I ever tell you about what happened to my late friend, Roadhog Harry? Roadhog Harry was one of the nicest guys I ever knew, off the highway. He was good to his mother, loved his wife and children, never showed up late to work, never watched the clock. Roadhog Harry was a steady performer in every respect, until he got in behind the wheel of his car. Harry's inhibitions left him in a hurry when he began to drive, or maybe he left them. Roadhog Harry actually believed that every time someone new bought an automobile, it was just to spite him. He drove like that road was his. Peculiar part of it was, for a long, long time, he got away with it. Somehow the police didn't catch up with him. And somehow, even when he crowded the opposing traffic over by crossing the center line, he got away with that. Lived a charmed life, you might say. Until C-Day. Crash Day, that is. Some fool driver came along who didn't know Roadhog Harry owned the road, and, well, it happened fast anyway. Poor old Roadhog Harry. CBS Radio suggests, don't drive like Roadhog Harry. Drive to survive those hot summer weekends.
Well, by that evening, the babysitter brigade had multiplied. I was babysitting for Harriet Conklin, and Mrs. Davis was babysitting for me.
Oh, listen to that wind howling. I'm glad you came over after all, Miss Brooks. It's a great night for a robbery, all right.
Now, Harriet, we said we weren't going to mention the word robbery again. Just close that window near the piano and you won't hear the wind.
All right.
It was nice of you to invite me over too, Harriet. I get awfully jittery sitting home alone with my cat Minerva on such a dark, gloomy night.
I get jittery sitting with Minerva on a sunny day. She just gives me the creeps sometimes. Maybe the cat burglars will swipe their namesake.
Now, Connie, that's no way to talk about Minerva. You know how fond she is of you.
Yes, I know. She won't manicure her nails with anybody else's nylons.
I read where one of the robber's latest victims suffered a concussion, and the pictures showed 3 huge bumps on his head where he'd evidently been blackjacked.
Don't be an alarmist, Harriet. For all you know, he was just a tall man who forgot to duck when he went into a pawn shop. Now let's change the subject.
Yes, let's discuss something else entirely.
Anybody read any good books lately?
I just read a corker the other night.
What was the name of it?
She knifed her mate. Or, the way to a man's heart is through his chest.
Well, maybe we ought to discuss the robberies again. But if conversation won't help, maybe some good music will. Harriet, suppose you put a few cheerful records on the phonograph.
Oh, good idea, Miss Brooks. Oh, gee, I just remembered. I lent most of my collection to Nellie Miners. All I've got left are those on top of the machine.
Well, they're better than nothing. Let's see some of the titles. Oh, here's a dandy one to perk us up.
What's it called, Connie?
Slaughter on 10th Avenue. Maybe the one on the back's more lighthearted. Oh, sure. Murder, he says. Guess we'd better turn on the radio, Harriet.
I'll do it.
Trying to determine whether or not broadcasting race results is in the public interest. And now for the local news. Those burglars who have terrorized the residential sections of our city 3 times during the past week have stepped up their pace tonight. Already 2 more homes have been robbed.
2 more tonight.
One of the victims, Mr. George Stewart, a high school principal, was found unconscious in his living room.
How could they tell?
The police have requested that we broadcast this warning. Keep your home brightly illuminated until bedtime. I repeat, keep some illumination in your home throughout the night. If the phone rings and there's no one on the other end when you answer it, it may be one of the gang calling to see if your home is empty. Women especially should exercise extreme caution. If you are...
Miss Brooks, why did you turn off the radio?
Because you two are nervous enough without it.
But 2 more robberies tonight. One of them a principal's house. And did you hear what he said about the phone calls?
Well, we haven't had any phone calls, and there's no reason to assume that we will. Even if the telephone should ring, there's no point in getting panicky about it. We'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Take everything in stride, so to speak.
The cat burglar.
Don't answer that phone, Miss Brooks.
But if we don't answer it, Harriet, they'll think there's nobody home.
Let them think what they like. The announcer said that women especially must exercise extreme caution, Connie.
Oh, I'm scared, Miss Brooks. I don't know what to do.
Nonsense. There's absolutely no reason to get so frightened. After all, it's a... That's funny. Stopped ringing. Oh, well. Now let's all calm down and stop being so fearful. One thing we can do is put some more lights on in this room.
But they're all on now, Miss Brooks.
No, not quite, Harriet. There's a bulb missing in that lamp by the sofa.
Well, we've got a bulb for it right here on the bookcase, but Daddy says that's a faulty socket.
Well, this is no time to worry about Daddy's faulty socket. I'll just take this bulb, screw it in here like this, and... Ow!
The lights. The lights. What happened to the lights?
They're out all over the house. Oh, you must have caused a short circuit.
Where's the fuse box, Harriet?
Back in the garage. Are you going out there?
I certainly am. About 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But we can't leave the house in darkness like this. Well, the burglars may be here any minute.
But I don't know anything about fuse boxes, Harriet. Maybe Mrs. Davis would know how to... By the way, where is Mrs. Davis?
Right over here, dear, under the piano.
What are we going to do, Miss Brooks?
Don't worry, Harriet. I know exactly what to do.
What?
Mrs. Davis, move over.
I'm sorry if my phone call disturbed you, Walter, but I've got to know if you've been out with Harriet tonight.
No, Mr. Boynton, I haven't been out with her in a week. But aren't you with Miss Brooks tonight?
No. She's supposed to type some report at Mr. Conklin's house tonight and stay over with Harriet. Mr. Conklin wanted somebody there because he and his wife are out of town, and...
Well, if the Conklins are out of town and Miss Brooks is with Harriet, What are we waiting for?
Please, Walter, listen. I heard a report on the radio that alarmed me, so I telephoned the Conklin's house to see if everything was all right, but there was no answer.
No answer? Well, maybe they all stayed over at Mrs. Davis's tonight.
No, I tried that number, and it doesn't answer either. Frankly, Walter, I'm worried.
Well, now that you mention it, so am I.
Well, just sit tight for now. I'm going over to the Conklins.
But how will you get in?
Well, I'll get in some way and find out just what's happening one way or another.
Well, dark house or no dark house, now that we're ready, we'll give those burglars a warm reception. Are you all set, Mrs. Davis?
All set, Harriet. I can swing this waffle iron like a tennis racket.
If you hit anybody with that, it should be loads of fun for the interns. They can play tic-tac-toe on his head. This skillet I've got is no slouch as a weapon either.
And I've got the double boiler. It ought to be... Oh, quiet. I think I saw something move outside this window.
Battle stations, everyone. He's coming in. He is in. Okay, girls, pots away. When you hear the tone, the time will be 9:31. Let him have it again.
Oh. Wait. It's me, Mr. Boynton.
Mr. Boynton? I know teachers aren't paid very well, but this is a fine way to pick up a couple of bucks.
You don't understand, Miss Brooks. I phoned here, but there wasn't any answer. So I came over to see if you were all right.
Now, wasn't that sweet?
I hope we didn't batter you too badly, Mr. Boynton.
Well, I'll probably have a few bumps, but I don't think it's...
Just a minute. I think there's someone else at the window.
Yes, it's a big shadow this time.
This must be the real burglar.
Now, don't be alarmed, ladies. Thanks to heaven I'm here to protect you.
Okay, girls, pots away! I got him! Hold his arm, someone!
Miss Brooks, will you kindly remove those pointed knees from my chest?
Mr. Conklin!
This is outrageous! Can't a man return to his own home after his car breaks down without being assaulted by one of his teachers?
We didn't know it was you, Mr. Conklin.
Of course, we didn't, Osgood.
We couldn't see who it was, Daddy.
So there are four of you in on it. Miss Brooks, what have you to say?
How about a rubber bridge?
Miss Brooks, starring Rodden, transcribed and produced and directed by Larry Burns, written by Arthur Olsberg and Al Lewis with the music of Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Conklin was played by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Bob Rockwell, Gloria McMillan, and Joel Samuels. Be sure to be with us next week for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Now, Anacin, the tablets thousands of physicians and dentists recommend for fast relief of pain of headache, neuritis, neuralgia, and heat, the liniment that's strong yet does not burn. Present Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks Transcribed. But first, today many thousands of people are thankful to their physicians or dentists for first having introduced them to that remarkable preparation called Anacin, which brings such incredibly fast and effective relief from the pains of headaches, neuritis, and neuralgia. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Thus, in using Anacin, you are following sound principles. So ask for Anacin at your drug counter next time you suffer pains from headaches, neuritis, or neuralgia. Try these tablets on this guarantee. If you don't feel Anacin gives you all the relief you want, as fast as you want it, your money will be refunded. Easy-to-take Anacin tablets are available everywhere in handy boxes of 12 and 30 and economical family-size bottles of 50 and 100. I'll repeat the name for you. Anacin. A-N-A-C-I-N. Well, although she's made a lot of friends at Madison High School, where she teaches English, our Miss Brooks regards someone outside of school as her most cherished companion. Namely, her landlady, Mrs. Margaret Davis.
Yes, Mrs. Davis is a remarkably kind and generous friend. She's always doing something for somebody. Right now, as the president of the Ladies' Good Deed Club, she's on a drive to get old clothes for the underprivileged. And although I owe her 4 months' back rent, she hasn't even mentioned it to me. I was thinking about these lovable qualities when I joined her at breakfast last Friday morning.
Connie, dear.
Yes, Mrs. Davis?
How about coughing up the back rent you owe me?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Davis. I must have gotten some water in my ears in the shower. What did you say?
I said, what about the back rent you owe me?
Oh, things are fine at school, thanks. It's nice of you to ask.
But I didn't ask about...
Although now that you mention it, we have been terribly busy lately. We're getting ready for Founders' Day. Mr. Conklin has persuaded the Board of Education to purchase a copy of one of Auguste Rodin's great statues to be placed on the auditorium stage during the proceedings.
That's all very interesting, Connie, but it's not what I started to discuss with you. Of course, if you really didn't hear me...
What back rent? Oh, I remember now.
It's 4 months, Connie. I hate to dun you, dear, but I really feel it would be for your own good. After all, when one person is in debt to another person, the first person should make some effort to turn some part of the money over to whoever has it coming.
To whomever has it coming, Mrs. Davis. When speaking to anyone, particularly an English teacher, you must bear in mind that the preposition to takes the objective whom, its correlatives being you, me, us, them, him, and her.
Where's the money?
I ain't got it. But don't worry, Mrs. Davis. I'll straighten out everything very soon.
All right, Connie. Here's some coffee, dear. Now, what were you saying about a statue at Founders' Day?
Well, Mr. Conklin feels that this particular statue will be a most appropriate symbol for the students. He says it will remind them that they must concentrate on their future in a world of adults. It's a copy of one of Rodin's greatest works, The Thinker.
The Thinker. I believe I've seen pictures of that. Isn't that the one that shows a man with no shirt on, sitting with his fist under his chin, watching television?
Well, it isn't quite that modern, Mrs. Davis. Rodin completed The Thinker before Pinky Lee was even invented. Anyhow, I called the art gallery for Mr. Conklin yesterday and ordered the statue. Should be delivered this morning.
Oh, that's nice, dear. Mr. Rodin must be a very clever man. I read in the papers that he's got another statue on exhibit at the gallery called The Kiss.
The Kiss?
It shows a man and woman in a romantic embrace with their lips clinging like a corn plaster. The ladies in my club were furious when they went to see it. They thought it was positively shocking.
But it's a work of art.
You can say that again, dearie. But while I'm on the subject of our club, Connie, I wonder if you could help us out. Do you have any old clothes?
Yes, I have, Mrs. Davis, but I'm wearing them to school. However, I'll ask some of my friends if they can contribute something. Lock the icebox, Mrs. Davis. It's Walter Denton. Come in, Walter.
Well, good morning, Walter. It's nice to see you, dear.
Thanks. I'll have ham and eggs.
You're welcome. Fried or scrambled?
Oh, I'm not particular. Just so there's 4 of them.
I'll have it fixed up in a jiffy, dear. Just keep Miss Brooks company meanwhile.
Okay, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, before I forget, Walter, Mrs. Davis's club is collecting old clothes for the needy. Do you think you can contribute anything?
Well, I'll be more than happy to dig up whatever I can. Gosh, Mrs. Davis is a sweet character. She's so unselfish. She really loves her fellow man. And if I may say so, Miss Brooks, that's one of the qualities I admire in you, too. You love your fellow man.
Well, thank you, Walter.
How is Mr. Boynton?
Now, that's what I call a crude conversational blend.
Miss Brooks, you know I don't like to overstep my bounds or presume to offer advice about things that don't concern me, but I know of a wonderful way you can get Mr. Boynton to generate a little steam.
You're right, Walter. This is one of the things that doesn't concern you. How?
Well, by taking him over to the art gallery tonight and exposing him to a certain statue. It's a man and a woman in a bear hug and smooching like crazy. It's called
The Kiss?
Oh, then you've seen it.
No, but I've heard enough about it to know that it shouldn't even be mentioned in mixed company. Besides, it's too hot these days to go to galleries.
It is kind of warm. Oh, that reminds me, Miss Brooks. Poor Mr. Conklin has to go to school this morning in his long woolen underwear.
You're just full of censorable goodies today, aren't you?
No kidding. It's true. Mrs. Conklin believes that the only way to cure a cold is to bake it out. Well, when I was over there this morning, Mr. Conklin sneezed a couple of times while he was dressing, and she insisted that he put 'em on. Oh, I felt so sorry for him. This afternoon when that old thermometer starts shooting up, he'll be squirming in his swivel chair like a dervish with a hot foot.
Walter, normally you won't get within 50 yards of Mr. Conklin without an anti-tetanus injection. What made you drop into his house?
Well, it's a new policy I've just put into practice. I make it a point to let his daughter Harriet gaze at me for a few moments every morning. It sort of sends her to school feeling that life is worth living after all.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes, Tommy.
Just cook the eggs. The ham is in here.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin. Isn't it a lovely day?
One more remark like that, Miss Brooks, and I'll crown you with the hot water bottle that's strapped to my back.
I'm sorry, sir.
Mrs. Conklin thinks I'm coming down with a cold, and thanks to her fanaticism on the subject, I'm rigged out in apparel that would be suitable for a ride to the North Pole. Red flannels in August. Now then, please state your business.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Davis's Good Deed Club is conducting another clothing drive, Mr. Conklin. Will you contribute?
If I have any old clothes at home, you may pick them up here in my office after school. I'll have Mrs. Conklin bring them when she comes down at noon.
Oh, is Mrs. Conklin coming to school today?
Yes, she's promised to bring me a bowl of hot soup and an electric blanket. My only hope is that I may be electrocuted.
Well, if you put one hand in the soup and wrap yourself up in the...
Oh, quiet! Now, before you go, tell me, has the statue you ordered for me been delivered yet?
Yes, sir. There's a big crate covered with a tarpaulin right down the hall. I'm sure it contains the statue.
Good. Mr. Stone said he might drop by today to have a look at it.
The head of the Board of Education?
Yes. Now, just between us, he's something of a blue nose. He's very old-fashioned. So I've been thinking, since this statue isn't wearing any... That is, since it's in a state of complete... Well, since it's...
Naked?
Miss Brooks. Let us say it's undraped. My thought was that in view of Mr. Stone's sanctimonious attitude about these things, we should perhaps put something on the thinker. Like a shirt, for instance. Or even something heavier.
How about your long underwear?
That will do. You'd better go now. I'll think of something myself.
Yes, sir.
I suppose thanks are in order for your assistance in securing delivery of this statue.
With the instructions you gave me, sir, it was a very simple matter. I merely phoned the gallery and ordered statue number 14 on the program.
Fine. You've bungled so many similar assignments for me in the past. I was afraid that you might have... Number 14!
Eh?
The thinker was listed on the program as number 7.
Number 7?
Yes, 7! I even repeated it for you.
I must have added them up.
Of all the blundering... Come in!
I am in, Osgood.
Mr. Stone.
Good morning, sir.
Miss Brooks, what I have to say is not fit for the ears of a lady. Kindly cover yours. Now then, Osgood.
Yes, sir?
I have just had occasion to speak with the custodian of the art gallery, and he has informed me that in compliance with a telephoned request from Madison High, an outrageous statue called the Kiss has been delivered to this institution for Founders' Day.
The kiss?
I demand an explanation, Osgood. Well, stop scratching yourself and answer me. Or do you have an answer?
Ooh, has he got an answer?
Miss Brooks, I want you to call the custodian of the art gallery and have that disgraceful piece of sculpture removed out of this school with the same dispatch you had it moved in.
What are you saying, Osgood?
I'm saying, sir, that it was not I who was responsible for sullying the corridors of Madison High with this scandalous exhibit. It was the dunderheaded action of the lady who stands quaking before you at this moment.
Oh, it was you, Miss Brooks. Well, speak up. I'm waiting. What have you to say for yourself, young woman?
Got any old clothes, Mr. Stone?
Friends, when you suffer torturous pain from rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache, you want relief fast. That's the time to reach for HEAT. H-E-E-T. HEAT. The liniment that's strong, yet does not burn. The moment you apply it, you can feel the heat, soothing warmth, working to relieve your painful miseries. That's because heat penetrates deep, brings immediate relief to sore, aching muscles. Wherever you ache, just brush on HEAT. Heat penetrates deep, keeps working for hours to bring wonderful, soothing comfort to the painful, aching area. Your pain seems to disappear. Heat isn't oily, sticky, or messy. You just brush on HEAT with a handy applicator that comes with each bottle, and it dries in seconds. So remember, when pain of rheumatism, muscle strain, or backache makes you miserable, HEAT's penetrating warmth gives you fast, long-lasting relief. Get HEAT, H-E-E-T. HEAT, the liniment that penetrates deep to bring immediate relief.
Well, when I called the art gallery and asked them to remove the statue known as the Kiss, I was told that due to a shortage of delivery trucks, they would be unable to pick it up until 5 p.m. There was nothing I could do about it, so when lunch period came, I went to the school cafeteria as usual, sat down at my usual table, and was greeted by a most unusual voice.
Hello, Miss Brooks.
Why, Mr. Boynton, what in the world are you doing here?
Keeping the date you asked me for this morning. Boy, today sure is a scorcher, isn't it?
It's a Lulu, Mr. Boynton.
Temperature must be up around 90 somewhere. Oh, you should have seen Mr. Conklin. I was in his office a few minutes ago. He was drinking iced tea and moaning like a stricken ox.
What were you doing in Mr. Conklin's office?
Well, he'd asked me to bring him a quart of ice cream. You know, but a funny thing. When I gave it to him, he didn't eat any. He just scooped out a handful and rubbed it on his forehead.
He just can't take the heat, I guess.
Why should the heat affect him more than the rest of us?
Look, Mr. Boynton, it's a long story. Actually, Walter found out that Mrs. Conklin thinks our beloved principal is getting a cold and insisted that he wear his red flannels.
Red flannels this time of year? That's pretty silly. I took mine off way back in June. But what is it you wanted to see me about, Miss Brooks?
I wanted to mention Mrs. Davis's club. They're having another clothing drive. Mrs. Davis already has about a dozen suits discarded by fellows in the neighborhood.
Oh, I see.
I just wondered if you'd be interested in the project.
Well, I certainly am. How much are the suits?
And no, you don't understand, Mr. Boynton. These suits are for the underprivileged.
Well?
You're fighting me, Mr. Boynton. You see, Mr. Conklin told me that if his wife finds any old clothes of his at home, I could pick them up in his office after school. Of course, there's nothing definite about it, and I would like to make some kind of a showing with Mrs. Davis. Mr. Boynton, remember the suit you wore when you took me to the zoo last Friday?
Yes, that was my blue serge.
That's right. Remember when we stopped at the aviary and you had your back to the cage?
Yes.
Remember how the peacock stopped to admire himself in the seat of your pants? Now, if you could bring yourself to donate that...
Please, Miss Brooks, you're exaggerating. It's not that shiny. Besides, I'm rather attached to that old blue serge. I remember when I bought it. There was a big sale on at Sherry's department store, and when I purchased that suit, the salesman gave me a baseball bat.
You should have hit him with it. I'll take whatever you can spare, Mr. Boynton.
Well, I'll dig something up this afternoon, Miss Brooks. But to get back to Mr. Conklin for a moment.
Must we?
Well, he seemed quite upset by something beside the heat. He said that the large crate right outside his office contained a statue which was sent here by mistake.
I've heard rumors about it.
It must be a pretty racy piece of work. Mr. Conklin has threatened detention for any student caught peeking under the tarpaulin.
Oh, that's ridiculous. It's just a copy of a statue called The Kiss.
The Kiss? I saw a picture of that once in the Encyclopedia Britannica.
And?
Wow!
If we wait until after school when everybody's gone, we can take a good look at the statue if you'd like.
Together?
Yes, just the four of us.
Brooks, I don't like to sound like a prude, but that statue is, well, it's pretty shocking. You see, it shows a man and a woman embracing.
What's so shocking about a man and a woman embracing?
Well, they're not only embracing, they're also kissing.
Well, what's so shocking about that? Married people do it all the time.
Married people?
Yes. Did you ever stop to consider that the two people in that statue might be married?
Say, that's an idea. Well, then it would be perfectly all right.
Of course. For all we know, those two have 4 or 5 little statues at home.
Miss Brooks will return in a moment. We haven't cornered the market on headlines, but it's our firm conviction that news can't happen anywhere without a CBS newsman on the spot or within fast-flying distance to get and report the facts. History doesn't wait on us, but we do the next best thing. CBS News maintains nerve centers in every strategic news capital. Our reporters are backed up by years of experience in the field. CBS newsmen are a fast-living lot. Nobody can break a date and make a plane faster than a CBS newsman. They're an oft-bidden lot, our 20th century news hawks. They're used to traveling light, fast, and often when news is making up. Bill Downs in Rome, Richard C. Hottelet in Bonn, Howard K. Smith and Alexander Kendrick in London, Robert C. Pierpoint in Tokyo, and alert observers in Cairo, Hong Kong, Stockholm, Toronto, and other world news centers are ready to move with the first word of a news break, with or without toothbrush. To get there first, so CBS News can get the facts to you. Daytime, nighttime, anytime, make CBS News your headquarters for headlines. Well, Miss Brooks made the mistake of ordering a statue called The Kiss instead of The Thinker to exhibit before the school assembly on Founders Day. And The Kiss, although artistic, has been declared completely objectionable by the head of the Board of Education. Later that day, Mr. Conklin was waiting for the crated statue to be picked up.
It's 3:30, Daddy. Are you ready to go home?
No, Harriet, I am not. In pushing that confounded crated statue to a respectable distance from my office door, I ripped my trousers to shreds. If Mr. Stone should see me leaving the premises in the tattered garb of a hobo, I'd never hear the end of it.
Well, Mother sent some of your other suits to the tailor this morning. It's right down the street. Shall I run over and bring one back?
That's just what I had in mind. Now, hurry, child. I can't wait to get out of this haggard-looking garment.
I'll just be a few minutes, Daddy.
Hi, Harriet.
Walter, how come you're still in school?
Oh, your father put me on detention for a week. During lunch hour, he thought he saw me peeking under the tarpaulin of that darn statue. But it really wasn't me. It was somebody that looked like me from the back. And when Mr. Conklin called out to him, he must have run away. Then later he grabs me and reads me the riot act.
Well, but that isn't fair, Walter. Can't you prove it wasn't you?
That's what I've just been planning, Harriet. They say a criminal always returns to the scene of the crime, right?
Right.
Well, if the peeping Tom who looks like me comes back, I'll be ready for him. A bunch of the guys in woodshop helped me build a trapdoor right next to the crate. Just let that culprit try to take one more peek under the tarpaulin, and down he goes into a locked room in the basement.
Oh, it sounds pretty complicated, Walter, but I hope it works. You'll have to excuse me now. I've got to do an errand for Daddy.
Yeah, okay, Harriet. I've got to report to him right now. I'll see you later.
Who is it?
Walter Denton, sir.
Are you alone?
Yes, sir.
Then come in.
I finished my detention for today, Mr. Conklin, and I was...
Stop that idiotic simpering, Denton.
That red flannel underwear. You look so...
If you don't desist...
I'm sorry, sir. Say, there's your suit hanging on the chair. Why don't you put it on?
Because I just took it off.
Why'd you take it off?
Because, Master Denton, I wanted to give you an opportunity to see for yourself how screamingly comical I look in long drawers.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it very much.
Now pick up your dunce cap and get out!
Right away, Mr. Conklin. Goodbye, sir.
Of all the lame-brained, gibbering mountebanks. Oh, what's the use? Too hot to get excited. Better go into my inner office and fetch the electric fan. That'll make it nice and cool. Yes, indeed. Da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dee.
Mr. Conklin? Oh, he must have gone home. Well, what have we here? A suit on the chair. He came through for the clothing drive after all. Well, I'll just take it along and thank him tomorrow. Mrs. Davis will be so happy to get it. Da-da-da-dum-bum, da-da-da-dum,
Principal's office. Osgood Conklin himself speaking.
This is Harriet, Daddy. The tailor's been awfully busy today, and he won't have any of your suits ready for at least an hour.
What? I can't stand around here I can't wait here all day. Now, just forget about it, Harriet. I'll simply get back into my torn suit and sneak out the back way.
All right, Daddy. Bye.
Goodbye. Now, where did I put that suit again? Oh, yes, it's right here on this empty chair. I'll just slip it on, and in no time at all, on this empty chair!
Well, what do you know? Here's the crate. I think I'll take a little peek at this statue before they cart it away. I'll just lift up this tarpaulin. What happened? Where am I?
Welcome aboard, Miss Brooks.
What are you doing down here?
I'm a victim of my own invention. I was trying to catch a guy who Mr. Conklin thought was me, so I built this trap door. But when I went to test it, it backfired on me.
You've got to get out of here. Have you tried that side door?
Oh, I did better than that. I locked that door from the outside. Yeah, this little old supply room won't be opened again until the custodian comes in on Monday.
Monday? You mean we're trapped in here all alone?
We're not alone anymore.
This is most embarrassing.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's kind of clubby.
Miss Brooks, what are you doing here?
Same thing you are, only I admitted I was curious.
How do we get out of here?
We can't. Oh, isn't it awful?
Now, this is a serious matter, Miss Brooks. There's probably not a living soul within sound of our voices.
We've got a fourth. Canasta, anyone?
Mr. Conklin.
Yeah, and he's still in those red flannels.
Oh, I'm warning you, Denton. Who said canasta, anyone? It's a woman. Miss Brooks! Get out here!
Yeah, but the door's locked from the outside, Mr. Conklin.
That's got nothing to do with it. Here, this crowbar will do the trick. Is it? Oh, get it out, jam it. It's working. It's opening. We're free. Free, you hear? Free!
Now, calm down, Mr. Conklin. You're hysterical.
Let go of me!
You better take his other arm, Walter. He'll hurt himself.
Yeah, I got him.
Well, it's nice of you to drop in, Mr. Stone.
Mr. Stone!
Mr. Stone's been stunned by the fall.
Oh, Mr. Boynton. Miss Brooks, what happened?
You were naughty.
Never mind that. Where's Mr. Conklin? I'm positive I saw him before I blacked out.
Well, he became quite panicky when he saw you, Mr. Stone. In fact, only a moment ago, Mr. Boynton and Walter Denton here were each holding a sleeve of his red flannels. As you can see, they're still holding them.
I don't understand. If they were each holding a sleeve of his underwear, how did he get out?
Same way he got into this room. Trap door.
Miss Brooks, found a new Barton transcribed, is produced and directed by Larry Burns, written by Al Lewis and Eddie Quillen with the music of Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Conklin was played by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Bob Rockwell, Gloria McMillan, and Joseph Kearns. Be sure to be with us next week for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks.